Are you ready to free up your painting techniques? Well, if you are, then today on the Virtual Village Hall, I'm going to show you some Chinese brush painting strokes. I'm going to show you 3 in all, and we use them to create beautiful fluid motions in art, like this one here. And as I say, it just takes 3 different brush strokes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop you down. I'll go through the materials that you need. We'll do some warm-up exercises, and then we'll finish with our final piece. So to start with, you're going to need some Chinese brushes. You can also do this with large watercolour brushes as well. The brushes that I'm going to be using today are these 2 sizes here. So I've got a medium size and a nice thin size here. You also, if you buy a Chinese brush set, then you'll end up with lots of different sizes. It's great just to have an experiment, just play around with them, getting the size brush that you like to use for your particular piece of art. So that's the first thing you're going to need. You're going to need your brushes. You also need some drawing ink, sometimes also known as Indian ink, and we're going to be using black. Traditionally it would be used an ink stone that you mix with water, but we're going to be using this today, and traditionally black is used as well. You're going to need just a couple of shallow dishes to mix our inks up, so we can lighten the inks to get these grey shades just by mixing it with water. So we're going to need that, and just a couple. I normally mix quite a light base and also a darker one as well. I don't tend to use it straight from the bottle. I've also then just got a jar of water to wash out our brushes, and also I've just got an old cloth just to make sure that those brushes stay just take off any excess water. Okay, so I promise that we're not going to go straight in with this. We're going to start with some little technique, some warm-up exercises. So grab a piece of paper. You can use scrap paper for this. For your final piece, you might want to use something a bit more like watercolour paper. Traditionally rice paper is used, but watercolour paper is absolutely fine. Or if you're just still practicing, just carry on using just some scrap paper. I've got some newsprint here that I'm going to be using during the session, but any kind of paper just to practice on is absolutely fine. So we're going to start with using our medium-sized brush, and I want you to just take one of your containers. I should do this one. And we're just going to start with quite a dark, one of the darker shades of ink. So I've just got just put some drops of ink in there. And just with the water so this is just water that I've actually already washed brushes out, so yours will probably start clean. Just drop a bit of water in, not too much, just to loosen up that ink a little bit. Just mix it round. And before we start learning some of those different strokes, we're just going to have a play. So I want you to hold your brush like so. The closer down to the brush tip, you get more control. The further away from the brush tip, you get less control. And I just want you to stroke backwards and forwards, applying a little pressure, then a lot of pressure, and then a little pressure again. This will just get you used to the way the brush and the ink work together. Make sure your brush is nice and it's got a good tip. It's not like that. Make sure it's in a nice smooth tip. Okay, so how are you feeling about that? Is that okay? Right, let's start learning some of those different techniques then. Okay, still with our practice pieces of paper. We're going to learn this brush technique here that creates our leaves. So keeping with that darker ink and our medium-sized brush. Load up your brush with the ink, take any excess off. Oh, I've got a little loose hair there. And we just want to start with the tip and then in just a nice fluid motion so if you're getting this sort of line, then just make sure that the tip of your brush is very pointy. Mine doesn't want to seem to be pointy today. And we're just doing one on the left, one on the right. Cross them over if you like. It's a nice fluid motion. And this is the brush stroke that creates our leaves. Just do a few more of those just to get the hang of it. You can see these aren't very expensive brushes because I do lose the hairs from time to time. There we go. So when you're happy that you've got the hang of that brush stroke, then we'll move on to the next one. So this one we're going to still be using the same brush, so a medium-sized brush, and we're going to be creating this that makes the bamboo stem. So grab another piece of paper. And for this one, we want to use ink that's been watered down quite a bit. So add your ink. And then quite a bit of water. It's difficult to say what the ratios are, but we're going to have a bit of a practice so you can sort of see how that should look. So this will be very fluid. So you might want to take a bit off. And just to get an idea of the difference between the different sort of consistencies, just have a quick play. Just to get that And so you can see it's quite a different colour, a different shade to the black that we were using first off. So for this brush technique, you want to hold the brush almost horizontal to the paper. Put the brush onto the paper and then just bring it up and then slightly back on itself, and that's how we make that line. So we just do a few of these first, and then I'll show you how to get that mottled effect that we're going to put on our final piece. So remember, brush almost horizontal to the paper, make contact with the paper, and then just draw it up in a nice smooth line. And try and go faster than slower. If you go slow, you can sometimes add a little bit of a wiggle to it, and we want nice straight lines like bamboo. So you'll see here, oh no, you can't see that. My veins are so large. You'll see here that we've started to get this almost shine. We've got a bit of shade and light. So just to do this, all you need to do is just have less ink on your brush. So what I will normally do is just ink my brush and then just take some of it off. I'm just on a practice piece for a start. And get this going. Oh, good job, it's a practice piece. Just going to add a little bit onto that. There we go. So we've got these lines here. So if you want to have a little bit more of a practice doing those, so make sure, I'm actually running out of scrap paper here. What I'll do on the back of this one. So just make sure you've got your brush isn't fully loaded. Maybe do a few just to get you started. Yeah, and that's how we do our bamboo stalks. Okay, so that's the second brush stroke that we've learnt today. The third one is this stroke here that we're going to be using to create our stems that lead up to the leaves. And for that one we use the smaller brush, which has disappeared. No, here it is. So we're going to use the small thin brush, and I'm going to, it doesn't really matter if you use the dark or if you use the light for this. I think I might use the dark actually. And for this one, you want to just use the tip. Ooh. Oh, it's a bit bumpy this because of the paper's buckled up slightly. And we're going to make almost an S shape. So if I draw it quite slowly for you, so we want to, and it will probably be a bit wobbly. Oh, not terrible. So we do like a little, if I make it a bit bigger, so we're almost doing a little S, the head of the S there, but then that needs to just flip under the line that we're going to be drawing. and then just finish with a little S shape there, like that. But we want to do it quite thin. Okay. Basically what we're looking to do is just end up with kind of little sort of nodes almost that the bamboo plant would have naturally. Okay, like so. Okay, so have a practice with that for a little while. So that's just drawing out. As I say, try and keep it as kind of fluid as you can. Do it quite quickly. I'll change over to this one now. This is a bit flatter. I'm always okay when I'm drawing on the right. I always struggle a little bit more when I'm drawing on the left side. I don't know if you're the same. It's because I'm right-handed. I wonder if you're left-handed. Do you have the other issue? Okay, so we're just practicing that, and you might like to have a little bit of practice as well, maybe bringing in our leaves that we did. In fact, I'm looking at the two shades and that's definitely a bit dark for me, so I think what I'm going to do when I do the stems on my main piece, I'm going to use the lighter ink. If I wanted to, I could mix like a third shade and maybe have like a mid one for the stems, but I think for the moment I'm just going to stick with the lighter grey for the stems, because I think the contrast is a bit high. That really stands out. Make sure I've got inked up, and then I can use these as practice for my leaves. A bit skinny. And as soon as you put the leaves in, you do see the whole painting coming together. Okay, so let me mix up some more ink, and then we're ready to try it out on our final piece. Okay, I'm coming to the end of this ink now. So this is my sort of darker shade. So I'm just going to mix a little bit of water in with that one. Let's just test it out. Maybe a little bit too dark. Let's add just a little bit more. That's good. So that one outside, remember it's a dark ink. And then here we go, we're going to lighten this one up. Yeah, I need quite a bit more water than that. So this is what I was saying about it's difficult to tell you what the ratio is, the ink to the water. Just really have a play about with it until you're happy with the colour. Oh, I'm getting more clean water now. Should be fine. Tiny bit more water, I think. good. Yeah, it's a good contrast. Okay, remember that that's my lighter ink. Okay, so we're going on in with that for our final piece now. And we're going to start with that brush stroke that we learned that makes the bamboo stems. So I've got my medium-sized brush, I've got my watered down ink, which I still think is a little bit dark, but I think we're just going to go with it. And just taking off the excess ink. Just going to add a little bit more to that. And then we're going to add our stems. So decide which ink you want to use for this, which shade you want to use. Actually, before we do that, just so that we're filling the page and sort of adding a little bit of variety, I'm just going to add some smaller bamboo stems at the side, and I'm going to use our fine brush again. So it's exactly the same stroke that you've done with the large or the medium-sized brush. And let's add another one over here, maybe a little bit further away. Okay, so that's our stems done. So let's then add the branches. So remember that kind of sort of long S shape we made. And we're doing it from the end of each kind of section as well, because that's where the bamboo would come from. And let's do one up here, almost like it's come from a, oh, if you can see that. So I'm going to do one that's almost come from a section beneath, so it looks like a long, really, really long piece of bamboo. Should we have this one ending up? Let's have it over here. Okay, now let's bring the painting together by adding our leaves. And then make sure my brush is nice and pointy. Just do a couple of practice ones just before I get started. Actually, one last one up there. Keep those lines nice and fluid. And I'm going to take some of these off the page so it looks like a bamboo's coming off the page. Okay, hopefully you can see that. And same over here. Just need to And there we have it, 3 brush strokes that we've practiced and then turned into a Chinese brush painting of bamboo leaves and stems. Plants. So do you think that that is something that you could do yourself? Please do let me know in the comments, and if you have a go at doing it, then we always love to see your photos here on the Virtual Village Hall. Thank you so much for watching today. If you do have any comments or any questions, then please do put them in the boxes below, and I will get back to you over the next couple of days or so. But thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye.